For the following equation, state the value of the discriminant and then describe the nature of the solutions. The equation is minus 14x squared plus 9x minus 17 is equal to 0. What we want to notice first is that this is a quadratic equation. It has an x squared term, it has an x term, it has a constant term. It has the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, where a is the coefficient of x squared, b is the coefficient of x, and c is the constant term. So let's first of all identify the a, the b, and the c. Okay, the a is the coefficient of x squared. In our equation, the a is negative 14. The b is the coefficient of x. In our equation, the coefficient of x is 9. The constant term is c, and in our equation, the constant term is minus 17. So what is the discriminant? The discriminant is the expression underneath the square root symbol in the quadratic formula. The quadratic formula can be used to solve any quadratic equation, and it has the form minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. The expression underneath of the square root symbol is called the discriminant. So to find the value of the discriminant, we need to substitute the values of a, b, and c into this expression. So let's go ahead and do that. We want to evaluate b squared minus 4ac. Our b value is the coefficient of x, which is 9. So we have the square of 9 minus 4 multiplied by a. A is the coefficient of x squared, which is negative 14. And then multiplied by c, our constant term, which in this case is negative 17. Use a calculator to evaluate. Find the square of 9 and then subtract 4 times negative 14 times negative 17. It comes out to be negative 871. So what is the value of the discriminant? The value of the discriminant is negative 871. Well, what does the discriminant tell us about the nature of the solutions? Well, the solutions are given by the quadratic formula, so let's think about what happens when the discriminant is negative, positive, and 0. If the discriminant is negative, then we would need to take the square root of a negative number, and the square root of a negative is not real. So there wouldn't be any real solutions. However, the square root of a negative number is imaginary, and so we would end up having minus b plus an imaginary number and minus b minus the same imaginary number. The result would be two imaginary solutions. So when the discriminant is negative, the nature of the solutions is that there are two imaginary solutions. What would happen if the discriminant, the b squared minus 4ac, was positive? Well, if the discriminant is positive, then the square root of a positive number is a real number. If we take minus b plus a real number and minus b minus the same real number, we're going to end up with two different real numbers. So as a consequence, the nature of the solutions is that if the discriminant is positive, there are two real solutions. Now if the discriminant's not negative and it's not positive, then it must be 0. What would happen if the discriminant was 0? Well, the square root of 0 is the number 0. And if we add 0 or subtract 0 from minus b, the result is minus b in either case. The result will just be one real solution. So for our exercise, we determined that the value of the discriminant was negative 871. Negative 871 is a negative number. As a consequence, the nature of the solutions is that there will be two imaginary solutions. So the correct answer is C. The equation has two imaginary solutions.